Hey guys, this is ArtsyWisdom. How you doing? My name's Diane. Hope you're doing well. Love and light to all of you. Those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. I read cards. I am an intuitive. I am also an astrologer, a hypnotherapist. I do past life regression, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, I had a couple people ask me, two different people that have passed on, to look into them and their energies. And I've done this with other people, musicians and other. Anyway, so I looked into Laura Nyro, and I had never heard of her. So I looked into her energy. Very, very interesting. And I got some fascinating images and ideas about what she's doing. And also Ivana Trump, his F-47's very first wife. Well, I think she is. And lovely blonde Czechoslovakian skier. I think she was. She was also a model. Shocking. He likes models. Anyway, I looked into them to see what they're doing on the other side, and I asked them a few questions. She was fascinating. All right, let's get started. So I meditated on these souls, Laura and Ivana, and I wrote my notes. I have notes that I always take the fly, and I got a couple of people that say I'm going too slow, and that's how I work, but I have to really get in a state of meditation. So Laura, again, Nyro, I'm sure somebody will correct me. Now, when we leave this planet, after we transcend, most people just shoot up into the heavenly realms, go to the Council of Light, meet their spiritual soul family, and heal. A lot of times you have to go through a healing process, and sometimes that's longer depending on your life here and what you learned or didn't learn, and then you get sort of assessed by the Council of Light. This situation was a little different. From my school and different experiences I've had working with other, I understood it. Now, it took me a second. So the first thing I got was her name, and could be totally off base, but the first thing I got was her name was either shortened or differently spelled. Her ancestors or family of origin. I never thought of her as adopted. I don't think she is, but the name is not how it would have been spelled. Either it's like a Greek name or Nyro, Roanopolis or something, or Nyrovich, or with an N. A Y-R-R-Y or so. Anyway, that was the first thing that popped in my head. And it was either shortened or spelled differently. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So immediately when I get into her energy, I feel like I'm doing the breaststroke. Or I'm treading water. I asked her I got into this going, am I treading water? Or am I doing the breaststroke? Breaststroke is like this. So she's moving, so she's not just treading water. So I feel like there's a movement, and the water is a nice deep blue. It's not a pool, it's a body of water. It's not too much different than the one I see when I'm looking into energies about where we're at right now. But I found her not moving forward, like she's going forward just a tiny bit, very slowly, and I'm like, what's happening? And then I look to my left, and I see this young girl sitting on the edge of a pool. Now, I just told you it was a body of water. I didn't feel like it was, but now there's an edge of a pool or a dock or something. And this little girl is watching me as Laura, and I'm swimming, but this little girl, I realize, is her. And so, as I know from doing past life regression, people can pop back and forth through lives in different periods, age regression, depending on where they are. But this is very different than that. This part of me, the swimming part, the adult part, is ready to move on. She has passed on, but this little girl is her. That is her as a child. And there's no story she's trying to tell me. I'm in the little girl's energy looking down at Laura, and big Laura is swimming, but it's not her. It's somebody else. The little girl is watching somebody else. swim. And maybe that's an old memory from this little Laura, but there's something not happy about it. It doesn't feel happy. So the Laura that's swimming is okay, she's ready to go. But the little Laura, there is something fractured about her soul, Laura's soul. And that can happen when we're in a difficult experience in life, trauma, but also we can split ourselves depending on your relationship with people, or if you, I don't know if she used substances or anything, but if you open your etheric body, or get sick or something, fractions of you can separate, and you could leave them in here, in different places. But what I got from that is the big Laura is waiting for little Laura to be united with her. So the big Laura isn't like on the earthly plane. She's not moved on, but she's just kind of waiting. She's waiting. And I want to make sure. Oh, so this was the other thing I saw was the water is a solution to the big Laura's issues. She feels like inside, and maybe this has to do with little Laura, she feels like she has separate, like not rooms, but separate areas. Like here's a room, here's a space. And the Laura that's swimming is feeling like the water, which is ruled by Neptune. Neptune is the sign of water, or one of them, or the moon. And it feels like, and I'm thinking maybe it has to do with music. Her making this water enter through her soul might unify these segments of her that are not put together. They could be part of this little girl too. I feel like the water was an attempt subconsciously from her soul to unite herself. And I don't think it was another life that this little girl's been waiting for her to come into. I think this is all from the life she experienced here. But the water is ruled by Neptune. Like I said, Neptune is Pisces. Pisces is the sign of art, music, creativity, inspiration, meditation, spirituality, things that you get lost in. On the highest level, Neptune's about creativity and the God spirit within us that's inspiring and that we create these amazing things. On the low end, you get lost in sometimes addiction, things that aren't healthy, but also sometimes feeling like you can't get out and a stuckness because you get lost, basically. But my sense is that attempt to go through that water, the music, she was trying to heal herself in some way, shape, or form. But this little girl is still there, and she's looking at Laura. And so I attempted, as I do with sometimes when you have past life regression and you feel like a part of you is attached to somebody, or it's left here and you need to bring it into your life now and to do some healing. I asked her to go to this little girl and embrace her and tell her she's going to be okay, because the feeling I got was this little girl was scared, wasn't happy, was separated from her soul. So she's telling her, and trying to pick her up and carry her and give her love and say, thank you, you're going to be fine. I'm going to take care of you from the adult perspective. And she did, and the little girl didn't mind it, but she wasn't ready to leave yet. So there is something that on a soul level, and I don't know what Laura's karma is, but it has to do with those two reuniting, those fractions, that fractured soul healing itself. Now, believe it or not, a person can reincarnate and still have a piece of them left behind and then come back, and it's kind of complicated, but it can be a beautiful thing. There's part of her, and I don't know anything about her childhood or anything like that, or maybe it was something as when she was a child that she consciously left behind because she felt like it wasn't good and she needed to grow up maybe, or something like that. Maybe that has something to do with it. But this little girl wasn't happy, so I felt bad. She says, part of me is still here. I can't move on. I gave away a piece of me, fracture soul. Yeah, so she tried to help her. And I feel like as I'm telling her that, and I feel like that's going to continue in the healing process for her to unite these parts of herself to move forward or to move on and transcend. You know, that's what I see. So very interesting. All right, let's get to Ivana. Now, I used to watch Regis and Kathy Lee like 1,000 years ago, and they were in the same social group as Donald and Ivana. And I remember Joy Philbin, Regis's wife, saying that Ivana called him the Donald. That was her phrase when she would refer to him as the Donald. And she was a beautiful model and Olympic athlete, I believe. And I think it was a skier. It wasn't a figure skater, I don't think. But so when I get into the energy of her, she's immediately takes me back into that time, and she feels like she's good. Everything is okay. She's in this social world. She's enjoying it. She also feels like she's small or insignificant in a lot of ways, but I know from history and what I've read in the past is she took over, the decorating and some of the management of his hotels, and she really made him. And that's what she's telling me. She made him. But the thing is a lot of it, she still feels separate and insignificant. Like she was doing it because she knew what to do because she was really smart, but they were separate, not separated, but different worlds kind of. She did this, he did that, but they were a couple. It says she loved money. I got that, she loved money. And she also says, I don't know if this is accurate, Trump's father, who I guess was a horrible abusive person, she felt from her perspective that he really thought that Donald, the son, got a really pretty woman. Like he lucked out and got this blonde bombshell. So I think the father thought that Donald, our current criminal in this regime, has made out, he got this beautiful blonde woman. So he was really proud of that. That was a big point of pride. No idea if that's true or not. Anyway, she doesn't feel 100% ascended. I don't feel like she's just kind of like cloudy. I feel very murky. Like I move in her life at the end. I feel like it was cloudy and murky. Just from my personal view of her energy, she just looked like she was always on something. And I don't think she had any other like she's in cancer treatment or something where she was on medication. I think it just looked, I have a lot of family members who have taken too much of substances, so I recognize it, and I feel like she was in that realm. Some of it legal, most of it is legal. I'm just saying it was too much, and this is for entertainment purposes. I don't know, I'm just letting you know what I see. Anyway, so she says to me he had a lot of affairs, not good. She was really unhappy about that, but I already had felt the disconnect. She loved her children. She loved them a lot. Don and Eric and Ivanka. She loved her kids. She still does. She says she's really around her grandchildren. Now, she made a point, though. She doesn't like a daughter-in-law. I think it's the Laura Trump. I think it's Eric's wife. She doesn't like her. She feels like she's too arrogant or too in the front. It's kind of like old traditional kind of viewpoint, even though I know she's passed on and she's on a soul path, she's on a soul level. I feel like she's telling me she didn't really enjoy that part of, she thinks she was a little too like out there, and she felt like the men could be, they're the ones that are in front. So she couldn't speak. She signed her rights to speak for money. She signed it away and she abided by that. But she did love him initially. It wasn't just an immigration thing. She did love him. I feel like they did have a good relationship. But I asked her what she thinks now, what she sees him as now. She said he's sick in the head. She said not like the old Donald. He's not the person that she knew. She's telling me he's much different. Like he's not attached to reality. Back in the day, he had his faults, but he was still aware of what was happening, and he's just different now. She said he's sick. He's mentally disconnected to what he knows is good, she said. She said he's turning into his father. And then I saw her as like this old bushot like lady when she's telling me she doesn't like the Laura, I think is who it is. And she also said, this is very interesting. She said, I can see him coming soon. I don't know. Time is a nebulous thing on the other side, you know. This could be a million years, who knows? So I don't know what that means. But she's told me that she sees him in the not too distant future coming, not just to see her, but everybody on the other side. But she explained that he's not well. She really said he wasn't well in that. She really is proud of her daughter. She also said that her boys won't be able to do what, their father did because they have, and she made it sound weird because they said, like she said, she's half are her genes, right? And half are Donald Trump's genes. So she made it seem like they have half her genes, so they're not as charismatic. Although I think she was very pretty and very nice and charming. But there's something about the merging of the DNA, she said, that makes them not very like charismatic and interesting. But she is, like I said, hovering around the grandchildren. And she's very proud of Ivanka, of how she's turned out. And she's very much like a lady. And she loves that about her. Okay, so then I've heard there's so many people that have questioned when she died. She fell downstairs, which I'm sure it was because of her medication. She was too medicated and she slipped and fell. And people have said, was she pushed? Was she killed because she knew so much or something like that? I don't think so. I don't have that feeling that she was. But there also has been rumors, I don't know if it's fake news or disinformation or misinformation, that really important papers were buried inside of her coffin. Supposedly she was supposed to be cremated. And then there was a coffin, and then it was buried at the golf place in Mar-a-Lago, maybe. It was very strange. But what I did see is definitely there's something in a underground coffin, or she may have been cremated, but there is something. It's like a flat, it's like the size of like a thin metal box, like 9 by 12, but like only 2 or 3 inches tall. And there's papers, there's something in there that's really important. I don't know if it's secrets from other countries that he, stole, or I feel like it is some very important stuff that he's putting aside for a rainy day. But it's definitely in there. And it could even be, I almost feel like it could be in between, like say it's a wood casket, like in between the walls on the outside and the inside. If it's possible, there's something in there. But I see it like to one side of her. But she's fine. I feel like she's just fine. She, on the other side, she just seems okay. She's not happy about what he's doing because she says he's not right now. But it's a weird thing. It's like he's doing what he's doing. He's always been the Donald. He's going to keep doing that. It was like that kind of vibe. Like, couldn't stop him then. Can't stop him now. It's like a process he's going through. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know in the comment section. Very interesting, though. All right. You guys take care. Till next time.